kuma sannan kowane bangare na Najeriya da yake so ya rabu, idan 'yan kabila Igbo ne suke so a basu, idan kabilar Yarbawa ne a basu, kai koma wane ne, ai ba Najeriya kaɗai bane aka fara rabawa. Yau ina Rasha, ƙasashe nawa aka raba? An raba South Sudan, ƙasashe da dama a duniya na an raba su. Saboda haka ba akan mu aka fara ba akan mu za a ƙara ba, a ƙari ba. A zo a raba Najeriya, a duba kundin tsarin mulkin Najeriya, a raba ba tare da tashin hankali ba, kowa ya kama gabansa. Abinda Allah ya hore muku ku je ku yi amfani da shi. In ma ƙasa za ku ci ku ci, in fetur za ku sha ku sha, ko ma menene Allah ya baku ku je ku yi amfani da shi.
Again, more calls by Northerners for the separation of the ethnic nationalities that make up Nigeria. This lady even used South Sudan as an example, that everyone should go their separate ways since Igbos are not participating in the protests around the country. So in other words, she's trying to blame the Igbos for the hardship in Nigeria. Everyone is experiencing the hardship. The fact that they are not protesting doesn't mean they don't experience it too. So the lady should have directed her anger to the right authorities, who should listen to Nigerians in order to ameliorate the situation. But she chose to say, since Igbo people are not protesting the hunger, that means they don't care because they don't feel it. In fact, let everyone go their separate ways. Let Nigeria be dissolved. We all know the reason many Northerners are calling for the division of the country right now. It is simply because their gamble failed. And having realized that their gamble failed and it has brought more suffering to them, even more than Buhari's time, instead of blaming the people that are causing the suffering, they turn around to blame people that warned them before the presidential election, not just Igbo people. Many Yorubas, the Afenifere, for example, Edo people, many other reasonable Nigerians, even the Middle Belters, they said, do not vote based on ethnicity or religion. Vote for competence. But they did what they had to do to protect their interest. So it has always been for their interest, not national interest. This is not how to build a country. The North has benefited more than any other region in Nigeria since the start of everything. Abacha, for instance, created additional local government areas in Kano State, bringing it to a total of 44 local government areas. Imagine the federal allocation that goes to Kano State alone. They do not see this as an injustice, as being unfair to other states. The worst part is that they will never accept it. They will not tolerate it in any way if 44 local governments were created in a southern state in Nigeria. Even at the National Assembly, they have more representatives than others, but they don't see this as injustice. They feel it is their right to have more than others. They feel they have to be above others, to rule over others. This is not how to build a country based on equity and justice. How can a section of the country be colonizing others despite being of the same black race? How can they be colonizing the others? Just like white people colonized Africans. So it doesn't make sense for them complaining now as if they are victims. No, they are not victims. Instead, whatever is going on right now, they brought it upon themselves, not just during the presidential election, but over the years they've been in power. Their leaders never developed their region. They always believe in social welfare that is not sustainable. Whenever the welfare stops, the hunger and suffering continues. Instead of building industries and creating employment for their people so that they will earn that living by themselves, it will be more sustainable to their economy than forcing their people to live on welfare. There are some local government areas in the north. This was during Obasanjo's time. You only see people at the local government headquarters when the allocation comes. Whenever they receive the federal allocation, you will see all the workers, even citizens of the local government, they will line up, they will share all the money, and everyone will disappear. Come to the local government headquarters, you won't see any worker. You won't even know that this is a local government HQ. So this kind of system does not work. It's not sustainable. Remember, this is not the first time the North has called for secession from Nigeria. After the first coup of 1966 and the counter coup that followed and massacre they committed against Eastern Nigerian people, they wanted to declare Ariwa Republic. But the British people convinced them not to do so, that they will suffer if they secede from Nigeria. That was how they abandoned the idea and came up with another idea to control everything in Nigeria, including military, leadership, all positions. They made sure they put all their people in strategic positions. Whether the people are professionals in the field, that didn't matter. They ran down everything, because if someone doesn't know anything, how can a boss be relying on a professional who knows the job to lord over him and take advice from the professional? It never works. Even in a bank, all companies, all conglomerates will never put someone who doesn't know the job as the boss, while the professionals will be serving the boss. It doesn't work that way. It's only in Nigeria that we put people who are not competent in the field as the head of the department or the boss of a company or agency of the government, and let the professionals work under the incompetent person. That's not how to build a corporation or a country. Nigeria's economic woes didn't start today, despite Tinubu making everything worse, to the extent that Buhari looks like a saint compared to Tinubu. Nigeria's economic woes started in the mid-80s when IBB introduced the Structural Adjustment Program. Since then, Nigeria's economy has been on a downward spiral. To destroy is always easy, but to rebuild is very, very difficult. Why? It is simply because we have not gotten a competent leadership that knows what to do in order to rebuild our economy. When Nigerians get the opportunity to change leadership, they instead start thinking about voting their brother based on ethnicity or religion, thinking that is it not to be an administrator, let him be the head, let him appoint ministers who know the job, let him appoint advisors to advise him. He will just be there as the figurehead and will be implementing what the advisors advise him to do. That is not how it works. If you do not understand how to build an economy, you will never be able to implement anything that will boom the economy. That's how it works. Also, if you put the advisor on the ballot against the person that is supposed to be the figurehead, isn't it better to vote for the professional who will do the job? He knows the job already. Why do you prefer that person to be the advisor to a figurehead who is empty? Why not vote for the person who knows the job, who is the professional? So we have a very long way to go. Elections have consequences. When people make mistakes, that's if it's a mistake, because next time you will see them voting based on religion again or ethnicity. If they make mistakes, they are supposed to learn from it. But it has not been the case, judging from history. Coming back to the suffering sweeping the land, the suffering is still at the early stages. Worse is still to come. Why? It is simply because the exchange rate is too high for an import-dependent economy. That's why many importers are reducing their importation. People that used to import up to 10 containers in a month, or some that even import one shipload of goods that they themselves sell alone, they have the franchise from foreign countries, they have all reduced their imports because there's a limit to how high you can increase the price of your products. When purchasing power is very low, people won't be able to buy them. That's why many companies left Nigeria in the first place, because they were seeing themselves as playing in Nigeria. They are not making any sales. And when they convert what they make in naira to dollars, they see that it is peanuts. So the real suffering is coming because of reduced imports. There will be a time you look for a product in the market, you will not be able to get it. The few merchants that will have them will increase the price so high that you will not have any option than to buy from them, because you cannot import it by yourself. This is why floating of the naira was wrong. They should have fixed the exchange rate so that when production increases in Nigeria, when all the infrastructure, 24-hour power supply, all the infrastructure that is needed to improve production in Nigeria, if they are ready and people are already producing, the government can now allow the exchange rate to go a little bit high to encourage exports and even encourage people to come and buy in Nigeria. Because when they convert their currency to naira, they will see that, hey, these products, I'll be able to sell them and make a good margin in my country. No need going to China or Asian country to buy these goods. Let me buy it in Nigeria. So they should have started by increasing production, making all the necessary infrastructure ready that will support massive production. All these palliatives, all this welfare they are doing is just a waste of money. It is not sustainable. Why not use that money to set up SME clusters around major markets in Nigeria? With a guaranteed 24-hour electric power supply, the sky will be their limit. They will manufacture all the goods that will be sold in the market, from garments to wares, everything you can think of. So because Tinubu only knows how to tax, he's taking advice from IMF and the World Bank, which have never worked for Nigeria. All the advice they've given to Nigerian leaders have always brought us to our knees, starting from the mid-80s, like already said. So he's taking advice from people who don't want Nigeria to succeed. Nigeria is a potential competitor to the United States and Western countries. People don't seem to realize this. Look at our geographical location in the world. We are a future China to the world. So how do you expect people who know that economic growth in Nigeria will lead to future job losses in their country to support you now? How can they support their future competitor to rise and displace them and eat into their GDP in the future? Many Western countries are already regretting supporting China, looking at where China is today. So the problem is people don't understand that our leaders are not working for Nigerians. That's why despite all the shout, all the protests about hunger and suffering, they're not even doing anything. They're only bringing out palliatives. Like what happened in Lagos, the customs are selling seized rice back to the people at a discount. In the struggle to buy the rice, it was reported that some people lost their lives. Can you imagine? If their purchasing power wasn't reduced by the government, they wouldn't need to go to customs office to buy discounted rice. They will be able to afford rice at any amount in the market. In conclusion, the North should try to live with their decision. They made these decisions, they should live with it. They don't need to gaslight or call out any other person that didn't partake in what they did. Let them learn from the mistake of today so that their tomorrow will be better. Let's all work together in the future and unite and elect credible people that will solve our problems, our collective problems, because now everyone is suffering. Just like one candidate said before the elections that no tribe or religion buys bread cheaper than others.
No Nigerian will say, I'm from the West, East, North, but we'll be proud to say, he's a Nigerian. We assure you, we are going to work hard to put people out of poverty. We are going to work hard to ensure that our youth are employed. And the way to do it is that we will remove this country from consumption to all the cultivated land in the north, which is our greatest physical asset, we will invest in. We will ensure that we deal with the issue of agriculture as quickly as possible. As soon as we secure the country, farmers will go back to farm. We will support them to be more productive, and we will use the food inflation to drive down inflation in this country. We will ensure that the work that we produce will lead to agricultural revolution, which will lead to export, and will earn more money, and our reserve will increase,